And so it's a Parasha Vaylech this week. Moshe Rabbeinu went, and this before his Petira, but Be'etzem Yom Hazeh, it says that he was going to do it on this very day. In other words, the day itself he's going to die. No one could stop him. So, how would Klal Yisrael stop him? Chaim Shalev Zogt through Tefillah. Tefillah can do anything. Power of Tefillah is if we had the davening, the person could accomplish anything. There's Moedik Emaisis Tefillah, but just share with you one Moedik Emais. 6-year-old boy, Shavuos night, and his father went to shul. His father tells the child, you have to go to sleep. He wants to go to shul too. No, I want to come to shul. No, you're a young boy. You want to learn? Learn tomorrow. Sleep, you have to sleep. Anyway, the father goes to shul, opens up his Gemara, and the haunting eyes of his child is possessing him. He can't learn. That was a child longing in his eyes to come and learn. He said, you know what? What would happen if I would have brought the child? So I'd fall asleep. He had such a cheshik to come. You know what? I can't learn anyway. My mind's distracted. I'm going to go home. If he's up and is able to come, I'll bring him. If not, okay. Comes home and the child is standing there with his coat on, ready to go to shul. The father says, how do you know I was coming back? I went to shul. I told you to go to sleep. Why are you dressed, ready to go to shul? Child said, I davened. I knew you were coming back. The child happens to be the one who grew up to be the great Rav Shimshon Pincus. Already, I guess, in the Rusai, already he had this Gvaldigi Yisoidus of Tefillah. I davened. Many such stories also. Also, there was another story. Again, many stories, but what can come off the cuff of a person, even we don't realize what the power of that tefillah is. Rabbi Gold says over the story, I think he made a video of it, of his aunt in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, and she went to the fridge, and she sees the name that she had of the soldier that she davened for. There was when the Israeli Defense Force went into Gaza, many people got names of soldiers to daven for. They gave out Yid in America could daven for a soldier, specific one in the going in. And she had a name, and she saw the fridge. It was already after the operation was over. And she had a name on the fridge, and she says, oh wow, I really wonder whatever happened to that boy. Why should I know? Whatever happened to that boy? I wish I could get to know. Anyway, 2 weeks later, they were in Israel, her and the husband, and they went to a restaurant. Apparently the downstairs was crowded. They figured upstairs is quite a better view. They went upstairs. And the waiter was very obliging. And he said, if you need anything else, don't hesitate to call him. His name is Barak. All of a sudden, she turns to the husband and says, ask him what his mother's name is. Is it Arina? He said to him, is your mother's name Arina? He says, yes. Did you fight in the Gaza war last year? He said, yes. He says, you were the soldier I davened for. The guy was flabbergasted. He didn't even know anybody davened for him. The next day he came along and put on tefillah, and they became Cyrus, but from what Plaitas Hapeh. She davened to Baruch in an off-the-cuff manner. I wish I knew what could happen to Baruch, please let me know. And she meets that soldier. It's awful. What we can do with that tefillah, it's a gewaltige chizuk. Comes to Shabbos Shuvah. Now also we have to be Messiah. It says, man, the Dir Hashem be Motzai, Karubi, Yosei Kormakash Baruch is right here, a person can chaper ayin, and to realize that the opportunity is here. And we have to realize, like the Chazal say, the Rambam, Tzadikim, Gemurim, Nechtam Malal to the sign right away, and the Rishoyim, also, Beinanim, Tolav, Koy, they're pending. Everyone talks about it. Okay, whatever the Sfarim say about the Indian, but we all understand the Chaymer Indian, there's gravity of it, that the Beinani is pending. And if it does tshuva, you can tilt the scales. So, it's something really to think about is, l'maisa, how do we make ourselves have that pachad? We think about it, we know about it, but I think also if we employ the koyach of tziyur, I mean, the Chofetz Chaim Zecher Tzadik Livracha, he was, when the Dibuk was there, they brought him to the Radin, and he had the 10 Chachamim, one of which was Rabbi Chana Wasserman, who used to say over the story. They were conversing with this Dibuk, and they asked the Dibuk, what's the Chofetz Chaim in Shemayim? How do they... It was like a Tana. And what's his Koyach? We would all think Shemir Salosha and Tzadik. His Hasmada in learning was Moiridik, the Hasmada of the Chofetz Chaim. Nevertheless, this is awesome. This is really unbelievable. It's a famous Maisa which is said over many different times in the Chofetz Chaim's life. Apparently, different people witnessed this, but one is brought down, I think, by his grandson or by Zach's. I believe he said over the name of Yeruchim was the one to witness this. Rabbi Chana was on Simchas Torah. The Olam was dancing in the yeshiva, and the Chofetz Chaim snuck out. Yeah, but he snuck out the door. One person caught his eye that he was sneaking out. It was Yeruchim. Yeruchim followed him. Where's the Chofetz Chaim going on Simchas Torah? Followed him to his house. He went up into his attic. Yeruchim followed him. And Chofetz Chaim closed himself in his attic, and Yeruchim standing outside trying to see what he could catch. The Chofetz Chaim starts, Yisrael Meir, you're already 60 years old, what's going to be with you? When are you going to start doing tshuva? And the Chofetz Chaim, we're going to make this fast. He projects 10 years later already. This took 3 hours, by the way, this story. He said, he already projected himself at 70 years old. Yisrael Meir, what's going to be with you? 70 years old already. What's with you? You get the tshuva. Now he projects himself at 80 years old. Yisrael Meir, wake up, what's with tshuva? And then he projected, he was already 90 years old, and getting old and feeble and weak, chalashing, like an older man walking. And he projects himself at 95 and is in his bed lying down, he can't move kamat. And then he starts projecting himself as getting weaker and schwacher, and already he's making his days as if it's imminently going to be over very soon, and the people are hovering around his bed. What's he doing? How's he going? And he makes it very, very graphic until he makes it that there's already the Shas. It's the Shama ready to part. It's good for Shema Yisrael. And everybody's crying. The Chofetz Chaim was nifter, and he wasn't a fool. He explained how the situation is going to look, and people are crying. He even explained his Levaya. He portrayed his Levaya, and they took him to his grave, and they were lowering him to the grave. People are crying. It was graphic. He made the whole tzir, and as they're putting the clumps of earth on top of him until the final clump of earth finished, everybody's crying. They left the kever and is there alone in the ground, and then the malachim come. And they take the elevator shaft up to Shemayim. They just escort Yisrael Meir up to Shemayim. He comes to the base of Shemayim. He said, Pachadik. He said, the whole chamber over there, you hear the Neshama is being judged. Get him! He is, they're just standing there waiting in his line for his din, and his Pachad, he says. And then all of a sudden he hears his name being summoned. He says, Yama Yisrael Meir from Radin. And he has to come stand on the scales, on the witness stand there. And it says huge, gigantic scales. And then he hears them announce, mitzvahs! Oh, mitzvahs. He looks up. Starts to feel ganz good. Mitzvahs, a whole life, 95 years old, of mitzvahs. Every Amen. Live with that Torah, Chofetz Chaim's Torah. His Sforim that he wrote, every Sefer, Mr. Baruch, Chofetz Chaim, Avos Chesed, 21 Sforim, the Chofetz Chaim wrote, Machne Yisrael. His chizuk when he gave over to thousands, millions of malachim coming onto the scales. What's the Nahari do? The mitzvahs. Standing there watching the mitzvahs pile up. And then he hears, another Averis. The Chofetz Chaim looks up. He's pachad. He sees these crippled malachim, black, coming up to the scales over here. And he's... I don't know what he envisioned his Averas were. Maybe he didn't say HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name in the 26th Kavanah correctly. It was Chaim. But he's looking at his Averas, and the scales seems like they're starting to fill up. And he's pachad there, and he's terrified. He says that the scales are moving. The right side, which was all the mitzvahs, is coming closer up and down. The Averas is coming, and then finally he's standing in pachad, and finally gets even keel. Standing even, and he's terrified, pachad, and then he starts to remember, Hashem's Rachman, Mavi Rishon. But then he hears a sound coming out, a coil. Yisrael Meir from Radin, Letnach, or is tight? Is he alive or is he dead? She said, he's alive. She says, alive? He doesn't do tshuva. He's a Russia, and your Beruchim faints. Now this took 3 hours. Mekatzer 3 hours. This is Chofetz Chaim. God Lador Tzaddik Shekemoisoi. He doesn't waste a second of his life. Not a second. He's a masmid. He spent 3 hours. This one time that Rabbi Yochanan saw, and other people saw the same thing in different times. I mean, what's Pshat? He's Mekayim the Chazal. Person should see himself as the world is equal. He's got 50% is equals. He loyaled it, but he did it in such a way where it's real. He made it graphic. He made it real. It took him 3 hours to realize it, make it real, and that spurred him on. That means whatever those 3 hours that he lost, that would have had with his dveikus and Torah, he needed to do this Chazal's Eitzah, the Olam, to make a person look as if he's equal, to be able to messiah themselves, to spend that time, to be able to put in that effort. The person has effort, Surah. Mr. Priki, obviously, Stakel, you have to look at the things which ain't that, and you won't come to Aveira. It means that you have to spend the time and effort, and it's worth investing to get that clarity. And the person gets that in Nases Meitshuva to realize what it means, that Beinani. I think Bitzal Belazar is the one that explains it, says that the Beinani is standing there. Tluyim means he has the noose around his neck. That's what it's waiting for. You're going to do tshuva, you'll be spared. If not, if the person stands on the scaffold, the noose around his neck, pachad. If it's there, it's automatically that's going to give that person the impetus. So, in a way, the person has the yichaylos, the opportunity, the way the person we have to take out the time and allow ourselves to visualize. It's a koyach hatzir, it's a gewaltige koyach. We have imagination that works. No one can say imagination doesn't work. The raya is. The person goes and buys $1 for the Mega Million lottery ticket. He buys $1, he puts in for the ticket. Automatically, most of us, I would assume, already start dreaming. What am I going to do with my Mega Millions? It's beautiful. It's a gewaltige shmaka thought, at least the dreaming of it. I once asked somebody why you waste $1 on the Mega Millions. I'm not wasting $1 if I buy it a week in advance. I get a whole week to dream. You can imagine you're dreaming about what you can do with all those Mega Millions of dollars. And a person does, he really thinks, it's bliss. You can think, I'm going to buy the yacht, wait to this island, I'm going to go here, and I can buy this. And that. It's just the freedom and the thoughts about it. And it's beautiful. The imagination allows itself to play. So imagine we allow this imagination to play itself out in what is real. What's real? This is another famous story of the Chofetz Chaim and the Bacha that came on Purim. He was shaken. He wanted to be, Rabbi, give me a place next to you in Olam Haba. Bacha's shaken, the Chofetz Chaim. And the Chofetz Chaim was matche, what, Olam Haba, me, who knows, what. And the Bacha was incessant and he was pushing, and, Rabbi, give me, come on, please. Shika, he wants to get Olam Haba next to the Chofetz Chaim. And he kept pushing and pushing and pushing. For must have gone about 20 minutes, I think, the way the story goes. Till the Chofetz Chaim tells him, Herzog Chaim. And all of a sudden the guy sobers up really quick. Chofetz Chaim says, one thing I know, that I'm going to get Olam Haba. I never spoke Lashon Hara in my life. Never. That's B'kamich Olam Haba. If you will assure Mavtiach that you won't speak Lashon Hara, I'll give you a place next to me, the Olam Haba. And the Baruch was you know what that means? The gravity of that moment was intense. And the Baruch, he couldn't commit. Not a word Lashon Hara the rest of my life. It was right before him to make this commitment. He just wasn't able to get it out of his mouth. Now, I don't know the exact nusach, but something to the effect where the Chofetz Chaim said, take him away. I'm state of the Torah of Gan Eden. You're standing by the gate of Gan Eden, the gate Nishtaran, you don't go in. Person has the Torah, the opportunity, and he's there. The guy sobered up when he heard this. You can't even speak Lashon Hara anyway. That's the Yisum in the Torah. Maybe it'd be worth cutting out his tongue. The Chofetz Chaim gives him Avtacha. You get the person has to make the real. That's what the person has to do. Yaakov Galinsky one time came to shul in Tel Aviv, Only 9 people. He was the 9th. He didn't have a minyan. So he went to look for that center. Went on the street, couldn't find somebody. He goes next door. He saw a Yid with the yarmulke. The proprietor of the store says, he's Palal to Mincha. You have Mincha already? The guy said, no. Oh, you're number 10. Come daven. He said, I can't. What do you mean you can't? I have a store. He said, when are you going to daven Mincha? After I'll have Mariv twice. I'm stuck. There's no customers. I can't leave my store. How much are you going to lose? 50 shekel. I'll pay you 50 shekel. 50 shekel, fine. The guy said, I'll come. So he came to Mincha. And Yaakov Glitz is ready to give him 50 shekel. The guy said, no. Look. He said, I'll give you... No! 100 shekel. No! I'm not selling this mitzvah. We made a deal. I'm not selling the mitzvah, period. So Yaakov says, then I have to say a good shmooze for all of us. Hashem chesed, misham l'ishke ma'aseyu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have chesed, you pay a person for what he does. So yes, what do you mean? That's chesed? You pay a person for what he does, it's chesed. A guy does a plumbing job for you and you pay him. Oh, it's chesed. Maybe it is. He didn't expect to get, but I mean, he did a job. You pay him for his job. What's chesed? A person comes from this world to Shemayim, and he comes in truckloads, 80-wheeler truckloads of Amens, Yeshmei Rabbos, B'chavar Shmois, every word of Torah, every word is Gevaldik. That person's loaded for eternity. No, he comes up to Shemayim, and then the Satan says, not this guy. This guy wouldn't even leave his store for a mincha. There's nobody customers. No one go for a mincha. How much is it worth? Not even 50 shekel. So how much is his amen now worth? It was worth zillions before. But he wouldn't even go to lose 50 shekel. Not losing 50 shekel. What pay? So how much is his amen worth now? It just plummeted. All of that investment and all those amen he just showed it's worth bupkis. What happened to his nitzchias? Yaakov sees this fellow and his face is turning ashen. The guy hits him like, whoa, no. But then one time comes the mincha and he said, I'm not going to sell it for anything in the world. I go to that mincha and I don't want to get 50 shekel, 100 shekel. I'm not selling it for anything in the world. This mitzvah is worth it for you. For zillions. Now Rabbi Hashem does chesed. He's going to have mashalim ish k'masehu. Like this act you show now, it's really worth it for you. You're going to get all the omates paid like this currency. That's the chesed. Saseres made tshuva. That person chaps and he realizes in these moments of time, one second, every amen, it's chashuv. The rest of the year, don't mean every word of Torah now. I can chap a ride. I can do Yerushalayim, Lachanachim Yerushalayim. Rabbi Eli Yelen said in Nair Marasa, the difference between her that gets skila, if she does Aveira, to an Eishes Ish, only gets a chenek. How come they did the same Aveira? Nair Marasa means she was engaged to Raisa, but she wasn't married Nesuin. She gets a skila. But the one that she was ready in Eishes Ish gets chenek, which is a less of a form of death. Why? It's like the Belampian, because when she was Eishes Ish and she did Aveira, the bottom line is in the back of her mind, she's still scared. Maybe her husband might catch her. She's a pachat a little bit. Well, Namarasa, she's not married in this house yet. She did the Aveira, didn't have that pachat. The pachat itself, of being maybe caught, already mitigated and took off part of the severity of Aveira. We have no idea of any increment, any element of yira that we do invest. Anytime that we put in something, the value of that we can accomplish with a little bit more of Yerushalayim, a little bit more, a little bit, mahirur, a thought of it, could go such a long way for us in these days of tshuva, which is Dir Hashem B'Matz, like where he's so close to us, he's making himself available to us. If we chop that opportunity and use those moments that we can come along and gain, the sky's the limit. They say tshuva goes to the bottom of the Shemayim. And Kisei HaKavod, the person can attain Gvaldiga levels from what? Thoughts! A person's thinking. A person's thinking. A couple of words he can express out of his mouth when we can change our favors to mitzvahs, then Kirut HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to feel close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just says, Hashem, bring me close to you. That alone that I'm asking, I'm begging, I'm beseeching. Hashem's B'Yosei Karev, he says he's here. So we're right here, they say, grab me, take me into you. But we can't fathom the precious time, these moments that we have in this man. If we allow ourselves to graphically have that tzir, we'll accomplish ilamas. And any iota that we can go and bring ourselves to have a little bit more in the yira, in the skarvas, in the ava. The more ava we have, the more tshuva we do from ava. We change averas from not just to become a shaygeg, to become a mitzvah. So what the accomplishments are for us in this period of time is the Eibusher should give us the Siyata D'Shmaya, to take have that closeness. Dirsha Shevi Matzai Kruhu B'Yosai.